Hello you guys! I am so happy that you're joining me for my very first video. I am a knitter and I love sewing and just crafting in general, and I thought about making videos for a long time, and now I just want to try it because I really like to talk about what I do creatively, and I thought video would be a very good format to do so because I can show you things and talk about them, and for me it's much easier than showing pictures on Instagram. So welcome, and I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Clara, I am from Germany, I live in Berlin. I'm 23, I am a student for clothing technology, and in my free time I dye yarn, I knit, I sew and do like all the crafty things. I have a yarn brand called StudioCyarn, which is like doesn't roll off the tongue that well. I didn't think about that when I was creating the name, but now I have to roll with it. In this video series I'm just going to show you things that I make and talk about them, just like a podcast. I really like watching knitting related podcasts on YouTube, and I was thinking about doing one myself for quite a long time because I think it's a better way to get engaged in the community for me than on Instagram. Oh yeah, you can find me on Instagram as Colorful Studio C. I will pop that right on the screen somewhere. And on Ravelry, I don't know my Ravelry name, I'm just going to put it on the screen as well. Yeah, that's it. I really want to show you something that I have finished, but I just realized I should probably talk about my sweater at first. So I'm wearing my Reis sweater. It is a pattern by Steven West. You all know him. He's a fabulous designer. I really like his designs. He's probably the person I knit the most from, I guess. I think so, yeah. I just knit this out of leftover yarns I had, but I had a time when I really liked shopping yarns that were green and pink. I quite like this combination still, but not this kind of neon green anymore. But at the time I was super into these crazy green and pink color combinations, and I think the sweater turned out really nice. I did a few alterations. So you knit the sweater from the bottom up, and you can start with the body or with the sleeves, just as you like, and then you join them together and then you knit up. And then I just followed the pattern, knitting up, and it ended up being really high, and it just looked not that nice. It was not flattering, so I ended up ripping back and then putting on the neckband in the end. You can see that there's a slip stitch pattern used on the entire body, and then there's a colorwork pattern up here. I really like this, knitting one stitch with one color and then the next stitch with the other color. I think it creates a really nice effect, and it's also quite nice and structured. Talking about structured, when you knit one stitch with the first color and the next stitch with the other color, the fabric is just naturally going to shrink, so the gauge is quite different than your gauge might be with a normal stockinette stitch. So you can see how this creates bumps right here. because this is a normal stockinette stitch, and then the 1x1 color work starts. I should have used another needle size for this stockinette part. I don't know if the pattern tells you to do that. If it does, I just chose to ignore, which in hindsight is not the best choice, but I just recently discovered that it would be good to change needle sizes from time to time, and now I do it all the time when I'm knitting color work in comparison to stockinette, and ribbing in comparison to the body, and so on and so forth. So I talked enough about the thing that I'm wearing, and now I want to show you something I have finished recently, and I'm really happy about this project. It is a pair of mittens, and you will see this is quite possibly the cutest pair of mittens you've seen like ever. My god, there's a hair. It's a pair of mittens, and it's so cute. Okay, let me show just one. I just love them so much. It's the first colorwork mitten that I actually finished. I'm going to put them on, and I have to say they're kind of tight. They're a little bit too small for my hands. It's okay, but it's not ideal. I mean, it looks like they fit perfect, but I'm really touching the top here with my fingers and the thumb as well. Maybe I have to give them to someone as a Christmas present, but I will see. I really like the pattern. I'm definitely going to knit them again, because it's just this pattern is just so cute. So I'm going to show you. This is the pattern. It's the Taxus Mittens by Ann Myre, and it's a colorwork pattern with lots of different colors, but she tells you how to weave in the ends while knitting, before you start the next color and after you finish the contrast color. So I actually did not have to weave in ends when I was finished. Yeah, I wove in like 4 ends for one mitten, because one for the beginning, one for the beginning of the thumb, one for the thumb end, and one for the top here. But that's really not that bad for this many colors. And I used holst supersoft yarn. The red one is the colorway Jasper. So I just dug through my stash to find all the colors that I used for this mitten. I used 4 contrast colors in the main color, and if I would have had more colors, I would have used also different shades of green for the individual lines of branches and the trees on top here, because yeah, why not? And you have to cut the contrast color in between anyway, so it wouldn't have been difficult to use another color for the next green row. I mean, you don't have to cut the green, you could carry it on the side, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to. So the main color I used is called Jasper, and as I said, it's holst super soft. It's a wonderful yarn in my opinion. They always have a great Black Friday sale. That's where I got this and many other ones, and I especially like it because it's a really nice heathered colorway. You can see there are blue specks and reds and yellows in this colorway. My boyfriend keeps telling me that this is brown. In my opinion, it's burgundy, and on screen it looks a bit more like purple, but it's not. It's really like more red in reality. You can see the thread is quite thin, and this is supposed to be a fingering weight, but it comes out as 50 grams and 314 yards. So you could argue that it's a really light fingering weight or even a lace weight. I use it as a fingering weight, but as I said earlier, my mittens are too small for me. I actually cast on this pattern with another yarn, which is kind of a little bit thicker, but then I thought it's getting too big. It just looked very big on my DPNs. And I ripped it out and started with this thinner yarn. I used a 2mm needle for the cuff and then 2.25 for the main mitten. Next time I'm going to use another yarn, but as I said, I want to knit this again. So this is the main color. It's left over from a sweater that I knit. I'm probably going to show you this one in another episode. So the next color in the mitten is this one. I use this for the, I'm going to show you again. I use this one for the trees and the branches. And if I would have more green shades, I would have used different greens for each individual stripe. But I just had this green. So I used it for all the branches, and I still think it looks great. This is called Spring. It's also nicely heathered, but just with like a darker green one. It's not focusing. Yeah, you can see it. And there's this light pink. It's Sugar Snap. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that this yarn is 100% wool, non-superwash. It is quite rustic, so if you're sensitive, you maybe shouldn't use this for a sweater or something you wear next to skin. I wouldn't use it for a cowl or like a scarf, but for a sweater or mittens, it is perfect. I don't think it's durable enough for socks. Yeah, no, don't do that. The next one was this pink. It's Red Clover. And the last color I used is this. And it is Amber. And orange is a color that I usually don't enjoy that much. But this one is quite rustic. Like rusty, not rustic. Yeah, they're all rustic, but this one is rusty. And I like that about it. And I wanted to have one color that was a nice contrast to the others. And I think it looks really good. Like I had so much fun playing with different color combinations, and I could imagine this as a really fun color combination just for just one example, or maybe this. Yeah. I'm definitely planning on buying more of this yarn when the next Black Friday comes around. So enough about these. I would definitely recommend knitting these. They're so much fun. Yeah. And actually I have another sweater's quantity of Holst Supersoft in a dark green, and I really would like to make a sweater with this motif as a yoke. Not the trees, but just maybe, yeah, maybe this as like a yoke motif, and then I could put in some increased rows in between the different color work stripes. Would be fantastic. I'm definitely going to do that. So next I'm going to show you something that I am working on right now. it is housed in this bag right here. I sewed these up, sewed this one up for myself, and it has a drawstring on the top. It's really nice. Right now I'm about to sew up a bunch of project bags for my shop. This pattern is not going to be in the update. It's never going to be in my shop because it is a special fabric that I only had very little of. It is, yeah, as I told you, I'm studying clothing technology, and I was an intern at a German brand, and they make clothes out of really fun fabrics. The German brand is called Brutus Vista if you are German and if you want to check them out, or if you live in Europe in general. And they actually make clothing out of this. So they had jackets and skirts in this fabric. Quite fun. They're quite fun. And I got some leftover fabric, and I had enough to make a project bag for myself. Yeah, and I cannot sell this because copyright and stuff like that would not work at all. It's called the Smock Shawl, and I am very far along. As you can see, I'm knitting on the body of the shawl right now, and it's a fade. You knit the fade out of 3 colors. Of course you can just use more or less, just as you like. And you knit the body of the shawl, and then you apply a border to the edge. So as you can see, the edge is quite weirdly shaped right now. I hope that when I pick up stitches, it's just going to be a bit more round and not have that edge right there. But I think with blocking and stuff, it's going to turn out well. So right now I'm on my 3rd color, and I just need to decrease the stitches that are on my needle right now. By the way, I'm using a 3.5mm needle by Knit Pro, I think. And the yarn that I'm using is a merino linen single ply by Yama Fiber Arts, and it has a really nice drape to it. There are 3 colors that I used. You can see the first one here, and the second one here, and the 3rd one here. When I ordered these online, I thought this brown was more like a burgundy. Yeah, but anyway, I like them still. And the drape is fantastic. I keep forgetting how nice the drape on single ply yarn is. But it's really nice. It knits up perfect. And you can see the linen. Maybe I can find a spot. It's like these little hairy bits that stick out right here. It's quite fun, and I have to be careful because I always want to pick them out when I'm knitting with it, which is not the purpose of having this yarn. Okay, I found out what the color names are. So I'm going to start with the one I'm working on right now. This one is Shawl or Skal, and the middle one is Hedgemone. No, you can see it here. This is the part where they both blend into each other. And the one I started with is Champagne Blush. It's like a dusty pink, but really dusty. Almost beige in real life. But it's beautiful though. I don't know how easily you can get the yarn, because the dyer behind this is Yama Fiber Arts. I don't know if she said that already, but she dyed the yarn for a Caitlin Hunter design recently, and I think since then she's become quite famous, and I don't know how easy her updates are to shop right now. When I got this yarn, they were quite easy to shop. this is a very easy pattern so far. You only have to know knit and purl stitches, so you can see you have a ridge of purl stitches and then a ridge of like knit stitches. And if you really hate purling, this is not the pattern for you, because you always knit across, and sometimes you purl across and sometimes you knit across the entire row. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this because I think it's a great project, and it's really soft. Okay, this was not the only project I wanted to show you. There's more. I'm generally someone that has a lot of progress. No, not a lot of progress, sadly. I'm generally someone who has lots of projects on the needles at the same time. And I just picked a few today, and it's very good because I still have a ton of projects for other episodes. Which kind of relieves me, because I'm worried about getting to a point where I don't have enough progress to show or something like that. I really shouldn't be thinking about that because this is my first episode. Yeah. Anyway, I have a sock. I love sock knitting. Sock knitting is actually the thing that got me into knitting in the first place, because it's nice, small and portable, and I used to keep knitting socks in university when the lecture was held. It just helped me a lot to concentrate, and to keep following what was going on, and to be occupied and not fall asleep, because yeah, it was always difficult to me if something is not that interesting and then your mind wanders off. It just happens sometimes. And knitting is much better than being on the phone, because when I'm on the phone I cannot pay attention to anything what is around me. So yeah, that's why I started knitting, like knitting a lot. I'm knitting this sock, and this is a sockblank. I have other needles here, I don't know why. I'm knitting this from this sockblank. Yeah, and this looks crazy. Even if the light is getting darker, this is quite visible. This is by Stranded Dyeworks. Amy of Stranded Dyeworks doesn't dye sock blanks anymore, which makes this very precious, and I kept it in my stash for a long time, and now it's time to knit it, because I needed a fun project as a sock. That's how far I got. I'm just knitting. This is actually just a needless inside here to keep it from getting lost. I'm knitting the heel flap right now, and this is how the color fade looks so far. As you may know, socks you knit from a sock blank look really irregular. They look like you just started knitting and you knit very uneven. But that's because the yarn was knitted before into fabric, then dyed, and now it's unraveling and I'm knitting from it, so the yarn is very uneven, and this shows in the fabric of the sock. Yeah, I'm knitting these on DPNs. These DPNs are Knit Pro or Knitter's Pride, as you would say in America, I think, and I really like them because they are pink, and they just make this project even more fun. And I either knit socks on these or on magic loop. There's just not a lot to tell about these, I think. I cast on 52 stitches, knitted in the round, and now I'm doing the heel flap. Yeah, just there's no pattern in the sock, it's just plain stockinette stitch. Yeah, this project is in this bag, which I also made for myself, and the fabric is from the same source as the other project bag. So I'm sorry, I'm never going to be able to sell this kind of fabric, or this kind of project bag with this fabric. Yeah, that was a quick one with a sock. Now I have one last project that I want to show. It is also in one of these bags I made up last week when I was sewing a lot. It is this one. It's a really big bag. It has a drawstring. Oh yeah, and I used this white, it's kind of crinkled right now. I used this white inside, and there's a little pocket here. So this is a fun project. This is a cardigan, and I got inspired to do something with this yarn actually, because Amy, I talked about her before, because the yarn of the sock is dyed by her. She knit, I watch her podcast, and she knit a cardigan out of some yarn from No.1, and I thought it was really cool looking. And I was getting on the internet and looking at different yarns they had, and I couldn't find the one she was using. But I found other ones that I really liked, and I chose this one. And it comes in a gigantic ball of yarn. I have a second one. Which is this. Okay, wait. Looks kind of messy right now. It is really big. And it's really like massive. You could knock somebody out with it. You shouldn't though. I really like this green color and the colorful contrast colors in it. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. The name is Noro, and the yarn is Ito, so the yarn line is called Ito. It is a single ply yarn, and it's quite thick. So the fact that it's a single ply is not my favorite, for a cardigan at least, because I feel like it's not as stable as a plied yarn. Anyway, the color was so pretty. I got two of these. One of them is used up halfway, I guess, or more than halfway. I don't know if two of these are enough for my cardigan. Maybe I have to get the third one, which would make this the most expensive project I've ever knit. But anyway, and yeah, you get 200 grams on one of these, and it's 400 meters. So it's like a decay weight, I guess. It has some really thick parts and some really thin parts, which is not my favorite as well. But enough about the yarn. I'm going to show you the project. Right now it looks a bit weird because my needles are too small, and I'm in the middle of a row. So this is how the fabric looks, and you can see this part here is really thin. You can actually see my finger through it. And then there are other parts that are quite thick. yeah, I hope a thin part like this doesn't happen again. I am knitting. It just looks ridiculous right now. I just hope it looks wearable when I'm finished with it. I'm knitting the Harvest Cardigan by Tincanknits. It's a free pattern, which is exciting. It's really nice. And it is a lot of fun because the colors keep changing constantly. And you have this garter ridge button band that is knit while you knit on the cardigan. Yeah, so you know it's not applied afterwards, which is a huge plus in my opinion. Yeah, I really like it, and I hope it's turning out as a wearable item, even though I'm probably going to look like Molly Weasley when I'm finished with it. Yeah. I already split for the sleeves. They are on waste yarn right now. Here I'm using 5mm needles on a cord that is way too small, but these are fixed, so I can't change the cord, and I don't have interchangeable needles that are 5mm. There's not that much more to say about it, at least unless it's a free pattern. You should check it out. And at first, when I saw the picture on the pattern side, it did not appeal to me, but I kept looking at pictures on Instagram and on the project pages, and then I could see how I would, in what shape I would like it for myself. So I'm just giving it a try. I probably have to get a third skein of this yarn, because I didn't want it to be like a super short cardigan, and I want to make it full length sleeve. I want to make it with full length sleeves. I'm going to see about that. Yeah, that's my last project for today. The last thing that I want to show you today is sewing related, and it comes from this magazine, which is called La Maison Victor, and it's a magazine from Belgium. They have it in French and German, and I don't know what other colors actually, but if you live in Germany, I can highly recommend this one. They always have very wearable patterns, and the way they explain what you have to do is great. They have very good detailed explanations of what you have to do, like that. I had a subscription of this magazine for over a year, so I have quite a few of them right there. And I have a lot of knitting plans, lots of things I still want to make. And this time I chose to sew up this top. It's like a summer top with cute ruffles, or volants in German, you know, in English. And I made it out of this fabric, which my grandmother gave to me. She recently kind of showed me her fabric stash and let me choose things, because she said she was not going to sew things from it. So it's a little wrinkled, but that's how it looks so far. Yeah, the only thing that is missing is the button and the back. So that's why, I hope that's the reason why this keeps flipping outside. I have to iron it as well. Yeah, I think I like it with this denim skirt or something. Oops. And I quite like the pattern as well. I would have had enough to make a dress, but the fabric is quite sheer, so I did not have like a lining fabric on hand. So, this was the first episode of my creative update podcast thing. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got inspired, and I hope I will make more episodes. Yeah, please, if you have any questions or if you want to say anything, do it in the comment section. I would be so happy to receive a comment. And yeah, for now I just say bye bye and have a wonderful week. See you soon. Bye.